Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Podcast Pasta. That's podcast that's like pasta, not the podcast that's about pasta. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today I am joined with Ducky. I believe you're also your handle is Duck on Twitter or X, the whatever. You are
Right,
a
yeah.
artist. Your content is hosted on Twitter and I believe VGen, and I think you're, if I'm not mistaken, taking commissions. Ducky, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm Ducky like pretty much everywhere, but I'm most active on Twitter/X.
Um, so I guess before we get into the main bulk of the conversation, what I like to do is I know I gave you a very brief introduction, but I guess if you kind of want to expand in your own words and explain what you do and what motivates the work that you put out.
I like doing character art for the most part. Uh, I used to be like really into more on I wanted to learn like concept art and stuff, but now I'm just trying to draw stuff I enjoy in a way that I enjoy it. I don't have a lot of like super polished finished stuff, but I think my art's getting to a point where I enjoy the results and the process in itself.
So I've had a few different artists come on the show, and they've come from all different backgrounds. Some have, trained formally via like college education or some, other education to enhance their artistic abilities. Others are more hobbyists trying to like tackle it on their own. So I guess I'm curious, like, what is your background in art? Is it something that you've studied, like in a collegiate sense, or just studied in general, or is it something that you mainly pursued as a hobby?
Yeah, it's mostly a hobby. I'm self-taught. I've been drawing ever since I was a kid, but I started digital art around maybe like 10 years ago, and I've been I mean, it's a hobby, but like I still do commissions and stuff, but as far as if like I want to take like a more professional approach to it, like actually doing it as a job, I don't think I want to go down that route. But yeah, I am self-taught for the most part. I didn't really take any like formal classes on it.
So I guess I am curious. Like, why are you Is it just are you open to potentially like doing this like as a career in the future, like working with the studio or whatever?
That was my goal a few years back. I was really into like yeah, concept art, and I used to play a lot of League of Legends, and I think the splash arts are really cool, but I don't have the ability for it even now. But I did work a little bit as a 2D artist for like a small project. It never really took off, but I think it was a good experience. I'm not so sure if I wanna do it anymore moving forward because it really takes away from doing personal stuff. Like you're doing art for work and you just kind of you get a bit burnt out. Don't really feel like doing personal art anymore.
Mm. I get what you're saying. I think like sometimes too, or at least I find with myself is that doing like podcasting interviews and everything. While I enjoy it now, I always wonder if I would enjoy it if I had to get like paid for it, because that means like I would have to like put it out way more on a regular basis than I do now. And I don't know if I would like also experience like burnout, even though I love it. It would just be very exhausting to do it day in and day out. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I see where you're coming from with that. Um, I guess one question that I always forget to ask artists when I bring them on here, but I'm always kind of fascinated by, like, I guess the whole thought process of how would I say it? Like, when you determine a piece is done, right? So, like, I see sometimes on like Twitter or whatever, you have because my feed is largely artists because that's just what it feeds me by happen chance. And I see like different people classify like different stages of their work as like, oh, this is like a work in progress for me, and it looks like a completely finished piece with like shading or whatever. And then like for another person, it's like, oh, this is like my completed piece, and it's just like basic, like it just looks like a basic sketch, a good looking sketch, but just like a basic sketch. So I guess I'm curious for yourself, like when do you make the determination when you're working on a piece of art that like, okay, I am done with this, I'm ready to put it out to the world.
Yeah, I think that's also very interesting. I used to struggle a lot with that because I wanted to put out like super clean and rendered stuff, and I just got really burnt out, and I used to like go on hiatus every now and then because I felt bad that I couldn't finish anything. And I have this friend who um always like checks on me, asks about my like, hey, what are you working on right now? Stuff like that. And I've been told like it, at this point it's okay. Because there's a certain like quality to your work when you keep working on it that it sort of deteriorates in a sense. I don't know how to put it, but um yeah, I think now as long as I feel like it is very like sketchy, but to be honest, like no one's going to like zoom in on everything. But as I feel like as long as if I look at it from from afar, as long as I've got everything I wanted to convey in it, I feel like it's done in a sense. Yeah.
I always wonder, because like some people have like the philosophy that like, oh, you're never truly done with a piece. It's what's like the saying? It's like a you're never truly done with a piece. There's just a point where you just put down the pencil and you're like, you know what, it's out of mind. Like this is as far as I'm willing to go with this. Um, but
Yeah.
no, I see what you're saying. So you are a character artist, and I think I've talked with a few character artists. I mean, I don't know. It's with art, there's like so many different branching disciplines. Like I think I talked to somebody that focused more on like the color work, like a colorist. I think is the position that they're called. But I think I have worked with or talked with other people that have done more like character concept design. So I guess why was that the particular angle that you decided to take with your work, character art?
For like the longest time, it's just what I enjoy drawing, and uh, I really like observing people. It's like the best way to learn anything, really. Like if you want to draw like maybe landscapes, you look at landscapes a lot, right? And for me, it's people. I think like people are really interesting to look at and really fun to draw. It's different from uh concept art, I guess, because you have to think up the design and everything. But I just like drawing characters in general, I guess I'd say.
Well, for me, like most people, just have like a blank face. So I don't get the appeal, but that's just me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a
Yeah.
joke for some friends that may or may not be listening to this. Shout out to you
Mhm.
guys. You guys are keeping it real. Um, but with a lot of your work, I think, so from my understanding, you've created like original characters that, you draw on occasion. And I guess I'm always kind of interested in like the nature of original characters because like they are, at least for a lot of artists, they build like, it's not just like a character to draw. They build like a lore behind them, and like that lore kind of informs how you portray them in certain pieces. You know, kind of a background to kind of, I guess, inform you in a way. It's similar to like how an actor kind of wants to learn like more information about like the character they're playing, even though it might not necessarily be it might not be like text in the actual movie, but it helps to inform like certain acting decisions. And I think like artists have kind of a similar thing in regards to like when creating OCs. So I guess what was the inspiration behind some of your original characters?
Uh, I also have lore for them. Not that I've like publicly put it out or anything. Most of it's just in my head. Or I actually do enjoy drawing comics from time to time, but it's just not something I share on my social media. I think it's really fun thinking like, oh, this character is this character's family, and like this is how they would interact, and this is what happens in their universe, sort of. I used to draw a lot of comics. I had like OCs way back in high school. Although I never did pursue that. It's really hard to draw comics, but you know, it's something I wanna try doing in the future.
Are there any past characters that you would want to like re-explore now, knowing you know, with the experience that you've built up since then?
Maybe I do, but I'm not sure if I wanna bring them back or just sort of recycle whatever story I had for them with any of my existing characters, because a lot of my characters are just for like a majority of them just look like real people. I'm really into slice of life, so yeah, it's not very far out.
Well, I think outside of drawing OCs, you also do fan art for different people. I think you've also drawn other people's OCs. I think actually how you and me connected is that you know Atlas Anarchy, and I had her on the program. I think like can't remember like a while back, and I think through that connection, I found your work, and so I know a lot of artists though kind of struggle with um, kind of this dilemma where on one hand you want to draw like you know you want your works with your original characters to be like popular, right? Because those are characters that you create. You know, they're like your babies, but also like in a business sense, you don't potentially have to worry about any issues with like copyright or anything. Not that like anyone's really gunning down to take out fan art or whatever. I think that'd be like a crazy move to do. But I guess how do you kind of approach that difficulty of like, you know, you have like this original content that you like, but at the same time, there's always kind of this, I guess, kind of pressure to do like fan art because that is what gets more attention from people.
I used to barely put out any original stuff. I used to just mainly do like whatever commissions I do and fan art, because yeah, as you said, it's like, oh, it's an easy way to get people to look at my art, because it's existing, like there are existing characters from with an existing fandom, and so that's what I used to do. Like I just drawing, I love playing Genshin, and Genshin's popular. Guess I'll draw Genshin, right? But when that one character of mine just kind of blew up, it gave me like a sense of relief, because I thought, I've seen other artists where their main content is their original character, and I'm like, how do I get to a point where other people would enjoy my original characters? I'm not sure if it's like maybe something with their art style that people are going for, not necessarily the original character, or if people are like more drawn to the original character itself. So, well, either way, I was like really happy to have people like appreciating my original characters. So I haven't really done any fan art in a while. No.
Gotcha. Um, what was I gonna say? Okay, so you do. I'm sorry if I got this wrong. You do, or you are taking commissions right now because I know sometimes artists like they have very specific slot opening times, and like once their slots are closed, they don't want to like take any more commissions because they have to work on the ones that they just got. But you are taking commissions right now, right?
Oh yeah. They're open.
Ah, great. So I guess I want to ask, what is the hardest part about doing commission work like that you tend to find?
Uh, I guess not so much on. Well, sometimes there are struggles with certain designs. It's it's in my terms of service and like a lot of other artists' terms of service that I can decline if I don't want to draw the character. But I like to take on challenges, and sometimes it might be more than I can chew. But I guess for the most part, it's that sometimes I take on a lot of commissions. I overestimate myself. That's why lately I've been just doing slots. Back then I had it just open, so people would be like sending requests and stuff, and then whatever happens, and then I go on hiatus and not deliver for months.
So I guess kind of expanding on that, what makes a design like you think too complicated for you to be like for you to want to like do a commission on? Like what are some examples?
So far I haven't really turned any commissions down due to like very complex designs, but uh I haven't really received any requests for like mecha stuff. It seems very complicated. Although I would love to learn how to do it in the future. Seems really fun. And hair. Hair is my weakness right now. I wouldn't turn a commission down because they've got like crazy hair. I think it's still fun to do. It's fun to learn. I learn something new every time I do commissions.
Sure. I mean, from seeing your work, I wouldn't imagine that being like a I guess weakness in your art because I mean I think the hair in your characters' pieces are very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Um, but I guess how would I word this next question? Um, so I guess you might I don't know how many like fans of you are necessarily going to listen to this episode or even listen this far into this episode. If so, hello, my name is Podcast Podcast Pasta.
Pasta.
Wow, it is late for me. Podcast Pasta. Um, Podcaster. I do interviews from time to time. A lot of times it's just me ranting about weird takes that I have about media. I would appreciate the like and subscribe. You always gotta sell yourself. But I forgot the train of thought I was going with this. Um, oh
Yeah, like
wow,
and
how did
subscribe, guys.
I'm a professional? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Um, where was it? Oh, okay, so yeah, crossover of artists or of audiences. I don't know how many people that engage with your work are necessarily going to listen to this episode, but on the off chance that there is somebody out there that does listen, one of your fans listens to this episode, and they also want to become an artist, they're inspired by the work that you do. What is a piece of advice that you would give to them that you would have wanted to give to yourself when you were first starting? The most
Find
convoluted way I've ever asked that question. I am so sorry.
it's okay. Uh, find a process that you would enjoy doing over and over. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same formula for everything you do, but it helps to have a structure that you enjoy doing because there were times I was like, oh yeah, I think I enjoy this, and then after some time, I just get burnt out doing that stuff over and over. or like I kind of derail from it, and suddenly it's just not really fun anymore. I've actually had people ask me like, "Oh," or like they say, "I like the way you paint," and like, "How do you do that?" Um, and honestly, I I just learned to paint because I don't like doing line art, and I feel like people are like, "Whoa, well, that's I don't know," they don't know how to react to it. But yeah, you don't just learn how to do stuff the way you want to, when you want to, however you want to. Like it's just not going to be the same for every artist.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Um, I guess one thing I always ask artists, I don't know if it's just me trying to upsell streaming or like content creation in general, but I know like a lot of artists kind of find success in like streaming their process to people, because people are fascinated by like the methodology that goes into like the creation of like artistic pieces or whatever. So is that something that you would ever like consider doing on your own end, like streaming or just any type of like, I don't know, tutorials or whatever explaining certain aspects of your process?
So I have posted some um like time lapses before, but I've never really posted any tutorials. Although I do like going on like art servers and giving like very in-depth critique and stuff, or like advice for people that ask for it. And I have done a few sort of like classes in some servers where we study stuff together, and I'm kind of hosting it. But I really do want to do tutorials. I'm just thinking of how to approach it yet, because I've been told like, "Hey, you should open Patreon. Like, you can post tutorials and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I never thought of it that way. Maybe I will."
And then you just don't, or what?
Oh, I'm still thinking about it. I'm not very good at speaking. I think you can tell, but
Are you doing better than me? My brain is melting right
yeah.
now.
But I think with like recorded stuff, it's a lot easier, because when you stream, you have to like be constantly engaging with your audience. At least with videos, I'm like, uh, yeah, I do this and that, and then you just post it, and I can engage with comments in my own time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to both. I mean, I mostly do pre-recorded. You're not live, by the way. If you think you are, I would tell you that you're live.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, there's pros and cons to both. Even in like a pre-recorded setting, you can still mess up or whatever. But no, I get what you're saying with like having to like play to like more of a live audience. Um, whereas that's not as much of a worry for me. So we're kind of around the halfway mark, and this next question I've tried to, pioneer with different people to various, on and off success, but whatever, I will keep trudging forward and keep doing it. Um, I, so, again, keeping in mind, I honestly, I don't know how much people that enjoy your work are really going to listen to this, because it's one thing to like enjoy a piece of art on, Twitter, X, the Everything app, or whatever. It's another thing to go to YouTube to listen to like an hour plus long conversation, right? Um,
Yeah.
but assuming that nobody in your audience is going to listen this far in, what is a hot take that you think that you have that otherwise you wouldn't really like discuss on your usual like accounts or whatever? Your hottest take, assuming like
Okay.
it won't leave this interview at all.
Uh-huh.
I mean, don't go too crazy, but.
Oh, I don't think it's very crazy. I'm not sure how well this applies to like art in an I don't know, like in a bigger scope, but at least from where I'm from, uh, they put realistic art in a pedestal, and I don't like that because yeah, I've seen like people from my country like posting super hyper realistic stuff, like down to every pore, every strand of hair. I'm just honestly not impressed. I mean, it's impressive, like wow, you can put so much detail into your work. I think that aspect is cool, but also these people are just taking a photo and just basically copying it. Um, I don't think there's much to like learn or take from it. It's like if you photocopy a picture but in black and white, because like most of them are in like charcoal or pencil. Um, I think it's cool that people do realistic stuff if they're adding their own like artistic liberties to it, or they're creating like original stuff with it, because there are people that do realist they do art in a realistic style, like for example like concept arts for like AAA games, you know. It's cool because it's something they did with their own imagination. But for people that do just drawing of some celebrity in charcoal one to one, it's not impressive for me.
Yeah, like technically it's good, but it just doesn't really like interesting. I get that. Um, I think the only comparable thing I could find with that is, I like the approach like Capcom kind of takes, because I'm not the only one that's had this take, but like Capcom with Street Fighter Six, like even though they kind of are veering more into like a realistic style with their characters, there's still that kind of Capcom stylization to like a lot of the faces and different animation and stuff like that. So you could still distinctly tell that's a Capcom game, even though it's going for like realism.
Yeah, it still looks good, and it's creative.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So, uh, I guess talking. I guess I'm also kind of curious because this is a question that I bring up. I think that like pretty much every guest I kind of ask in some form or fashion. But who are like the artists or like content creators or whatever that like inspire you?
it it has changed a lot from ever since like when I started. I used to really look up to Kushinov, Goes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing their names right, by the way, but like you get it. Um, I used to or like yeah, W Love. Those artists from when I was in DeviantArt, and then when I moved to like Twitter and other platforms, I was especially back then used to really look up to um people that do concept art and stuff, especially for like League of Legends. I used to play a lot of, and yeah, I just think the art's really good. Um, and then, but you, wait, how do I put it? Like my art has changed a lot in the past, and so I've been looking for like more people I can take inspiration from, like different people from the people I looked up back then. Not that my art was any similar to theirs, but yeah, even now, like the people I look up to on Twitter, um, even if I say like, oh, I really like Mr. Kasui is like one of my favorites for like years now. I really look up to his art, but you're not really going to see like direct inspiration, or like you're not really going to see his style in mine. But I think there are just parts that I want to sort of emulate in my style.
So
if that makes sense. Yeah.
no, I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. You take like aspects from what you like, but it's not enough to like necessarily completely emulate what you're doing, what they're doing. I get that. I get that. Um, so you were a real OG. You used to be on DeviantArt.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
I
gosh,
guess
it's
I'm
super
curious. Like, what was
cringe.
the? I mean, do you still post on DeviantArt?
Oh no, not anymore.
So why the? So I'm curious why the transition.
Uh, I'm not sure actually. DeviantArt used to be like super huge back then, and I was young, so I was posting on DeviantArt. Then I got on Twitter and like Instagram and stuff. It just helped expand like my visual library sort of, and because when you're in DeviantArt and you're like following all these artists, you're kind of just s- stuck there sort of. And when I moved to like different platforms, I'm like seeing all these other art styles, seeing all these other artists, and I never just had a lot of success there. Yeah, so
So it's very like isolated kind of ecosystem in that regard. It wasn't due to like any specific policy changes with DeviantArt or whatever.
but yeah, I think there was also that.
Um,
Forgot what the issue was, but there was something going on in DeviantArt a few years back.
I mean, the only thing I could kind of remember is that they had issues with like more suggestive pieces of art in terms of like moderation and stuff like that. Which I think DeviantArt
Mm,
still kind of has weird rules on. I don't really know. I haven't been to DeviantArt in ages.
yeah, me neither.
Um, but let me think. So you, admittedly, you also do kind of more spicier pieces yourself, to say euphemistically. Um, I was gonna ask like, what was the inspiration for that? But now saying that out loud, that sounds really stupid.
No,
Um,
it's okay.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I guess, kind of going off bit a little bit because whatever, it's late for me. Brain is fried. I talk about like media and like television shows, movies, or whatever. Is that something that you kind of like are into yourself, like movies, television, or is it usually that? I guess when you're not doing art, what are you doing?
Um, it's a bit hard to say because usually when I'm like, oh, I like this and that, I'm super duper casual about the things I like. And so when I say, oh, I love watching movies, like specifically horror movies, and then they're like, oh, have you watched this classic or that classic? I can say I have, but yeah, it's just something I enjoy doing in my spare time. I like watching movies. I like reading manga, listening to music, not so much on watching anime. It's kind of weird because most people would be like, "Oh, I watch anime, but like, I don't really read manga much." But for me, it's the opposite because with reading manga, I can like just pause at this page and then pick it back up later on. But with anime, I like pause the episode and it's just not the same.
I have a friend that's like that too, but he argues with me that it's oh no, it's not like that it's like very different. Even though I argue that like you can effectively say like you're a fan of anime if a person just reads manga. I think like making the distinction is kind of weird, but whatever. That's just me. Um, but fan of horror movies. I guess what is let's go for it. What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, right now my favorite is The Substance.
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Um, yeah, horror's been kind of interesting for me because, you know, uh, a lot of people just kind of assume, oh, it's mainly just like slasher movies, but really, like, that's not really a big genre right now because, I mean, it's kind of had its more modern moments with like Thanksgiving and I think Hard Eyes, are like bigger slasher, films of this current era.
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of we've also seen like this kind of renaissance. So it's yeah, like renaissance of like high art scary movies like The Substance, like Babadook, Hereditary, whatever. Um, so um, so I guess what's your favorite genre of horror film then?
Uh, I'm not much into like ghosts or like possession. I really I really enjoy gore, so whatever has gore in it, maybe.
Okay. Um, I feel like I have to be in a particular mood for gore, you know? Like it's not just something I just put on anytime, right? Especially not when you're eating, obviously, because
Yeah.
Um, but I guess delving into your other interests, you like manga, which is great because apparently, according to a lot of people, I am the weebo supremo. Even though I swear I don't watch that much anime, but I do on and off.
Yeah.
Um, what's your favorite manga right now?
All right now, hmm, let's see. I guess it's Dandadan, maybe.
I love Dandadan. I watched the anime
Yeah.
adaptation on like Netflix, so that I heard like it's better on like Crunchyroll. I don't really know. Um, but no, I love Dandadan. Such a great
Yeah.
series. I think one thing I really liked about it, and I talked about this my with my first interview of the year actually, is I like how with Momo, they weren't afraid to kind of draw her off model to make her kind of like more goofy because with like a lot of anime or manga or whatever with like the female like love interest, they always like feel like you have to draw them on model. Because like otherwise she's not attractive, and you risk that. But I think kind of working conversely with that with Momo like kind of does a lot for me.
Yeah, man. I also really like the art style. The anatomy is really good. Like sometimes I just have to pause reading and just zoom in on the panels. It's just I really love the art style too.
So I guess maybe I should. I'm sorry. I should focus back on your work. Um, so I guess with like what you do, like how do you see any like plans on kind of expanding out like what you do now? Like are there like any ways to like kind of scale up or like do you see yourself like taking on more work or like where do you see the future of yourself, I guess, as an artist?
Mm, well, I've always considered streaming. I actually really like the idea of streaming, but then like lately I've realized maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe it's not for me. But yeah, I am planning on like I want to collaborate with others more, and I want to open uh on other platforms like Patreon or like Subscribestar.
So what's your dream
But yeah.
collaboration outside of podcast pasta, obviously?
Oh, I am planning on another collaboration. I'm still just trying to clear my backlog for now before I start working with them. It's Angkoro. They make like acrylic stands. Would be really cool to see my own character on an in a physical form. It's really cute. Mm.
Kind of like doing like merch, I would imagine.
Yeah, sort of.
Oh, cool, cool. Definitely looking forward to that. Um, but I guess so with your own art, because I know like sometimes people do like they tackle everything. They like sketch their own pieces, color their own work, or whatever. And then sometimes the people like to designate to different teams. Like one person will sketch, one person will do like coloring work or whatever. If you want to expand your work, like what are there any like tasks you want to kind of offload to other people that you don't feel like you necessarily have a strong suit for. Like you said, you want to do comics. Would you ever consider leaving like writing to somebody else? If that, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily like a weakness or a strong point with yourself, but anything like that.
Hmm. For comics, I'd say I'm not very good at paneling. I it's not until recently when my friend and I were talking about like making comics, he was like, "Oh, this is like, you know, uh the proper way or like the usual way the pros do it, especially in like manga." Like I was like, "Wow, I never looked at manga that way that you have to be mindful of the spacing of the panels and like how many panels you can fit on a page until it becomes too much, stuff like that." So I think having someone do the thumbnails or like just the panels themselves would be really cool because then the story would flow better because I think the way you do the panels is very important in comics.
So, when a lot of people engage with your work, what do you think is a common misconception that people have in regards to how they, I don't know if I want to say like analyze your work, but when they like kind of engage with your work, what's like the common misconception that you think people have about it?
Um, I guess only recently I have had people say my art is like Gunnar Slav, which, yeah, I mean, sure, I draw women with, bodies like that, but I didn't always draw women like that. I used to have like a lot more diverse art. I guess right now I'm just kind of doing I think people would like this, so but either way, whatever style I'm doing now, is something I enjoy. So I don't really care what people say about it.
I think you've recently one of your posts kind of got like some fairly big traction, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or I might be wrong. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, but yeah, I guess that is always kind of I guess I guess talking about that, some of your pieces are more suggestive, and I know sometimes people can kind of have a hard time like stepping into that, like, I guess, realm, so to speak, because they're afraid like their pieces, like that's the only thing that they're going to be able to draw an audience from. Is that a concern for you?
A little bit, yeah, because ever since I started like posting more stuff like that, I feel like maybe they wouldn't enjoy my other content as much, but at the end of the day, I'll just post whatever I want to do, whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good approach to take with it. It's just always good to ask, you know. I think always good to kind of speculate on. Um, Let me think if so. This is always kind of um like I know sometimes like certain like character artists what they kind of do to also expand their, no, umbra isn't the word I'm looking for. Their kind of I guess their work and their craft is to get into like VTuber design, right? Because there's a huge market for people that want like, VTubers made for their own like stream platforms or whatever. And I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I'm, asking like a farmer, hey, can you cook or whatever. But I guess that's something that would interest you, like doing VTuber design or like character design for anything like that.
Yeah, actually, I also like VTubers, and I did try to sort of learn Live 2D a little bit, but it's like way too hard. But also, since there are like mamas and papas, like maybe I could just do the character model. without having to rig. But yeah, I think my biggest hurdle for now is trying to polish my work because I want my babies, my future babies, to be clean and be polished. But yeah, it's something I really want to do in the future too. If people are interested in like having models in my art style.
What do you think is the biggest mistake, or I guess your biggest regret that you ever made as like an artist or getting into doing like or making art? Like, what was your biggest like regret or mistake? Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess caring too much about like numbers. Back then, I used to be very, how would you put it, like conscious of my followers. Like, oh, like what am I doing wrong? Like I've been trying this and that, changing up my art style and posting different kinds of stuff. Like yeah, when I told you earlier, like I do fan art, but it made me feel like maybe my art just uh isn't something very pleasing for a lot of people. So yeah, I just wish I didn't care too much back then because there are people when I started getting into like more art communities, they're like, "Oh, your art's really good and stuff." I think that matters way more, like having being in a community rather than some followers who don't even engage with a lot of my posts anyway. So yeah, that's that. Mm.
I will say that this conversation has truly been a delight. I'm approaching a bit towards the end of the pre-allotted time that I had for this. For anyone that stuck around this far for listening to the episode, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to go ahead and shout out Ducky, where people can find you, where people can find your work, go ahead.
Oh, I'm Ducky on Twitter, and I'm trying to be more active on Blue Sky as well. And my commissions are open on VGen. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on, and to the rest of my listeners, yeah, I guess just putting cucumber in water is amazing. By the way,
Real,
yeah, yeah, I just did it right
with
now. But
lemons.
no, for everyone else still stuck here, what are you doing? You can go ahead and go. Episode's over. Take care.